As Israel continues its operation against Hamas, 3 hostages being held in Gaza by Hamas terrorists were mistakenly killed during an incident. The Israeli military said the hostages were killed during combat with terrorists in Gaza and expressed its condolences to the families while saying there would be full transparency in the investigation into the incident.
I would like to update the public with difficult and painful news about an event that occurred earlier today. During the battles in Shejaiya, the entire IDF mistakenly identified 3 kidnapped Israelis as a threat. As a result, the force fired at them and they were killed. After the shooting, during a scan and examination, an immediate suspicion arose regarding the identity of the dead, and their bodies were quickly transferred for examination in Israel, and there the hostages were identified. Yotam Hamim, his memory is blessed, who was kidnapped from Kfar Aza by the terrorist organization Hamas on October 7. Samer Talalka, his memory is blessed, who was kidnapped from Niram by the terrorist organization Hamas on October 7, and another hostage whose name we will not mention at the request of his family.
Israel's parliament approved an additional budget of $7 billion to the national budget to help cover costs of conflict in Gaza, such as compensation for military reservists and emergency housing for the internally displaced. The amendment, ratified by a vote of 59 lawmakers in favor and 45 opposed, increased the 2023 budget to $139 billion, as well past the original 2023 budget along with the 2024 budget in May. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with the president of the International Committee of the Red Cross, Mirhana Spoljaric. Israel's Prime Minister office described to the ICRC president the atrocities carried out by Hamas terrorists. Netanyahu also presented to the ICRC president a package of medicines, demanding the Red Cross to deliver to the hostages in Gaza. Spoljaric met earlier with families of hostages in Tel Aviv.
There's a difference between the deliberate and systematic murder, maiming, and menacing of civilians, which is what terrorism is, and the unintended consequences, unintended casualties that accompany any war. And this is the entire difference. And I want to express my gratitude for your help in supporting the release of the hostages. But at the same time, some of the statements that have come out from the organization seem to not make the distinction that I've just made.
Meanwhile, Israeli and Palestinian representatives to the United Nations made their case in favor and against a ceasefire before the General Assembly on Friday. UN General Assembly passed a resolution calling for a ceasefire on Tuesday. The resolution had 153 countries voting in favor and 23 abstaining. The US and Israel, which argued a ceasefire only benefits Hamas, voted against the measure along with 8 other countries.
A ceasefire secures is a future for the genocidal jihadists. It is only Hamas that this resolution is defending. Stop hiding your intentions behind your suits and diplomatic wording. Humanitarian ceasefire. This resolution has a distorted agenda. At least make this clear to all member states. This resolution aims to keep Hamas in power, period.
For those attempting to shame those who call for a humanitarian ceasefire, you have failed. The General Assembly spoke. The world spoke. 153 countries spoke. Shame is on those who refuse to stand against atrocities.